Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and I know you guys are all dying for a Thor video, and trust me, I really want to bring Thor videos for you because he's amazing, and I've started getting much better at playing him. I have a really good rotation for him. In case you're wondering, if you have a CTP of Rage or a CTP of Judgment, 3 cancel 5 cancel 4. The damage is immaculate. Just try it. 3 cancel 5 cancel 4. You can basically almost insta cancel 3 and 5. But today's video is not about Thor. I am delaying the Thor video because as much as I know you guys want the Thor videos, and as much as I want to bring you the Thor videos, we all know how good Thor is. Thor is amazing, so I need to cover the stuff that might not be so amazing. I need to cover the stuff that might be a bit more nuanced in the sense of, you know, there's a gray area and people are sort of wondering where do I fit in as far as, you know, purchasing and investing in the character. And of course I'm talking about Loki. And I sort of highlighted it and I sort of mentioned it a little bit in the other video where I did my first impressions before the Valkyrie awakening. And I basically said that Loki probably is not a uniform that you want to pick up if you're not going to tier 3 Loki. I want to give you a bit more context on what I mean by that because, like Loki, Dormammu has shared a similar fate. I picked up Dormammu's uniform. I love his uniform. It's a top to bottom rework for him like it is for Loki. But he's not tier 3, right? I never ended up pulling the trigger on Dormammu tier 3, but his gears are at 25, and I put all these Odin's blessings on him, so I still probably will end up tier 3ing him. And I could tier 3 him right now. I have the materials for it, but I haven't. And I sort of, not fear, but I think I'm going to wait and not tier 3 Loki for at least about 2 weeks. Yeah, so for those of you that were hoping to see Loki tier 3 gameplay on this channel, I apologize. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks from now at minimum. And the reason why I'm choosing specifically 2 weeks from now, one, it's when we will cycle back to the round 6, which is when there's the universal supervillain requirement for ABX. That's the first thing. It's in about 2 weeks, like whatever, 13 days, something like that. The other thing, the other reason is that we may have more information about who the mid-month tier 3 is. And if it's Hela, if it's another universal villain, then I may wait and see how good they are before choosing, because there are a lot of universals, right? We've had a lot of universal tier 3s lately, and I've tier 3'd a lot of them. And so books are not that easy to come by. Neither is TCP, despite how amazing the new rewards are in the story mode. So I want to make sure. And also, I'm a little bit skeptical because they put a universal book in the pre-update token event shop. This event shop is great, but usually when they put a universal book there, it's because we're getting another universal. They did that a while ago when we got Dormammu, and then we were getting Ghost Rider mid-month. So yeah. Now I could tier 3 Loki and then start playing Ebony and getting more books, because Null doesn't really drop that many books. But really the reason why I'm not tier 3ing Loki right now is because I really don't have any use for Loki. Now, I want to try and say this as carefully as possible because I know that a lot of people love Loki, but everybody who plays this game plays it to enjoy characters, and there are actually fewer players that are chasing the meta exclusively. And so when I sort of, you know, talk negatively about a character or I lower a character's value because they're not in the meta, it sort of doesn't speak to the large audience that watches, and also it can confuse players as to the value of characters. Loki's a good character. This is a good rework, and at tier 3, he's a good tier 3. The problem is, for me, I have so many universal tier 3s. I have so many meta tier 3s. Loki doesn't fill a need for me, especially with my current need being Null. Right, that's why I was so quick. I didn't even hesitate. You can see from last video to this video, I already transcended Valkyrie, and I already invested in her gears and everything. I knew that I wanted to do that, no doubt, because one, she's good for ABX, and she's going to be a big upgrade for me over Crescent once I give her a CTP of Rage. Not yet, but two, the more important thing here is she can help me with Null immediately. Her damage is honestly not that bad for Null, but she can also help me as a support immediately, and she pushes Thor to the next level and all these other characters, next stage, whatever. Loki is a standalone clear, which I already have more than 5 for Null. I'm in the luxury. I have Odin, Moonstone, Thor, Sharon Rogers, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Carnage. Like, I've got a lot of heavy duty characters that can crush Null stage 3, 4, 5, 6 plus. So Loki is not really going to bring me to a new level there. And then the other thing is, besides Null and besides ABX, he's really not going to do much for my account. So that's really where it stands for me. You can see there that he is an alien. His ally race, or his ally sort of typing, is alien, so he cannot do anything for me in squad battle for Vibranium. If you're not in Vibranium, you might need a universal villain, but the universal villain tag for Vibranium is human. So the only one we've gotten recently is Molecule Man. I also have a bit of a suspicion. I'm also a little bit skeptical. I have sort of like a speculation in my mind that we're going to get another universal villain soon, whether it's Hela or Doctor Doom or maybe someone else altogether. It's just a little bit fishy how they designed Loki, in my opinion, because he's not very, very good for World Boss. He seems almost exclusively designed for ABX purposely. Now, I'll use Dormammu as an example because Dormammu came out just a few months before Loki, and they're both universal villains. Unlike Loki, Dormammu has so many abilities that make him flexible outside of ABX for other content. Now, they purposely gave him all 3 of the new ABX abilities. They gave him Silence on the Dark Dimension Beam. They gave him, Paralysis on this 3rd skill, and then they gave him Burn. So he has all 3. So he's good for all 3 months. But he's just not quite there in terms of his damage for ABX. Even with a maxed out build, CTP of Rage, CTP of Judgment, he doesn't quite hit 7 million. Which I found interesting because he's so good for World Boss. He's so good for World Boss. He can do stage 99 Ebony at tier 3 without a debuff lead. At tier 2, he can do stage 100 of Shadowland. At tier 3, he can do Null. And he's got Iframe Ignore, and he's got Reflect. He's good for PvP. He has Revive. He's got so many valuable weapons. His leadership is so good against heroes in PvP and also in the Jean Grey week for Danger Room Extreme. So I'm like, he's so good. He has all these weapons, right? But he's just shy of 7 million in ABX. He's like anywhere from 5 to 6 million for most accounts. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, right? Why would they stop there? He's so good in every other category except for ABX. So then I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe they were planning to release Loki a couple of months later. And Loki, unlike Dormammu, he doesn't have PvP value, nowhere near as good as Dormammu. He doesn't have Reflect, he doesn't have Revive, he doesn't have Iframe Ignore, he doesn't have a heal, right? I don't even think he has penetration on his 5 skills. Yeah, he doesn't even have native penetration. He only has penetration on his tier 3. No accumulation, no penetration. So I'm like, he's got no PvP value. He doesn't seem to be he's not as good for World Boss as Dormammu is. He's not, because he doesn't have any elemental damage to combo with his energy damage. So he just relies on all defense down, doesn't have accumulation, right? But somehow he's better for ABX. And I don't mean a little bit better, I mean a lot better. So a maxed out Dormammu will hit you like 6 million. A half built Loki, so maxed out Dormammu versus a half built Loki will hit 7 million. So with less of a build, 800 CCF less, etc., you're going to get a higher score in ABX. And they purposely gave him all 3 of the abilities. They gave him Burn here. They gave him, where is it? They gave him Paralysis here, and they gave him Silence on his tier 3. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, they're dividing these characters up, and it just seems to me like I don't really want to choose. So I'm gonna wait it out for 2 weeks. I'm gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what we can find out about the next tier 3, who it's gonna be. And I'm gonna see if there's any more content that comes out about Loki that changes my mind for the better. But honestly, I don't need anybody for any of the other world bosses, and Loki is not crushing stage 99 like Sentry and like Thor is. He's a little bit behind them, so that really plays into my decision. He's not crushing any of these other world bosses. He's also not crushing Null. He can do Null. I'm not trying to slander Loki or make him sound like he's a bad character. He can do Null, and this is just my opinion. But I'll give you an example of an account, and I want to thank them for answering me when I was talking to them. This is Thaz First Avenger. You can look them up. High level account. He was able to clear stage 4 of Null using Loki solo. So I'll show you the build that he has for Loki here. He's got Loki's uniform at Mythic, maxed out. He's got 54,000 energy attack, 37,000 HP, CTP of Rage. He's got lots of Odin's Blessings. He's got these Odin's Blessings because he's planning to use Loki for ABX if he hasn't already started using Loki. So I can understand the investment and the level of investment, right? Okay, cool. But then you take a look at his cards. Again, I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying, in order for Loki to do a stage 4 clear for this player, he has the following cards. He's got 5 PvE cards crafted with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blue stars. That means he's got an additional 4% pierce, almost 6% pierce. That's a ton of pierce. That means without the pierce, I question whether Loki can even do stage 2 of Null. Maybe with a rage he can do stage 1, maybe 2, but pierce, just 2% pierce will put you at least 1 or 2 stages ahead on Null, possibly more. So yeah, for players that don't have pierce, that stage 4 Null clear for Loki suddenly drops to a stage 1. Maybe it's not even possible. Maybe it's a questionable stage 1 clear, and that is a tier 3 Loki with the CTP of Rage and Odin's Blessings. It doesn't get more stacked than that. Mythic Uniform, Odin's Blessings, CTP of Rage. You can't really build the character more than that unless you're crafting your cards and getting pierce. So to me, that sort of signals that, you know, my account's obviously not there in the sense that I don't have any pierce on my cards. I don't have any crafted cards yet. And I'm going to have to put all that investment into Loki to maybe get like a stage 1 or 2 clear for Null. But I already have, you know, 6+ clears for stage 5. So Loki's not going to be doing Null for me either. The other piece of news, I don't want to call it bad news, but Loki doesn't have a heal. Loki not having a heal means that you have to bring, especially against Null, he's going to hit you. You have to bring either Venom or Groot. Those are the only 2 healers in the game for strikers. You have to bring one of them into the fight in order to heal Loki, or you have to play masterfully and never get hit. So all of that being said, I think it's the wise choice to just put, for me anyways, to put Loki on the back burner for now. I know a lot of you guys really like Loki's uniform, that you really like the new animations, you really like the new tier 3. I do too. If I had infinite resources, I would tier 3 him, but I don't. On top of the fact that getting so unlucky gambling for the Luna Snow card has kind of made me want to be a bit more cautious with some of my other investments, because I invested all these crystals and didn't get anything. So I'm sort of looking at my other investments now with my other resources and saying, you know what, Alex, maybe you should calm down and sort of slow it down a little bit. You don't have infinite Titan component packs. I just burned 1,000 for Valkyrie. So that's kind of Loki's maybe the collateral damage of my reckless impulsive behavior now pulling back and being, you know, extra cautious. So I wanted to make this video to give you my thoughts. I know it's an extended talking video. There's no gameplay. I apologize about that. But I know some of you guys are maybe on the cusp of tier 3ing Loki, and I wanted to make this video not to dissuade you from tier 3ing Loki. You should tier 3 whoever you want. You should play with whoever you want. You should have fun playing this game. Having fun is the most important thing. I realize this. However, for those of you that maybe haven't asked yourself the question yet, what is Loki really going to do for my account? And could I maybe wait a week or 2 and then tier 3 Loki then, right? If you're still having a lot of fun with the content and you don't necessarily need Loki to continue having fun, if you can have that luxury like I can and you can wait, maybe it's a good idea to wait. A couple of other things to take note of. One, Loki is required for the All War? No, Dormammu is required for the All War. I think Loki is required for this new one here. Yes, he is required, at least for me. I think it's the same for all players. Anyways, he's required for the End of the Future right now, and he, you know, when this resets in 24 days, he may be required again for other content. He's also required for some of the Dimensional Clash missions, but the Dimensional Clash missions are easier because each fragment has 2 to 3 stages that you can choose from. So if one doesn't suit, you can switch over to the other one and try your hand at that one. The other thing I want to make note of is that Loki, unfortunately, has the lowest tier 3 base stats in the game. Now, again, you can make up for that with your cards and your build, and he has a 50% attack buff on his 4th skill, so that 10,200 energy attack gets pushed up 50%. So he actually does have a much higher base energy attack because it's a 10-second buff on an 8-second cooldown. I'm not really sure why they didn't just give him that energy attack and not have the buff. I think that would have been better and would have given him more consistency. But yeah, as far as low stats goes, his physical defense and energy defense are hilariously low. Like, those are tier 2 stats for a tier 3 character. And if you take a look at some other tier 3s, like Sentry and Hulk and Captain America have more than double the base HP of Loki. More than double 22,900. And there are characters that have 12, 13, 14, 15,000 energy attack compared to Loki's very anemic 10,200. And then seriously, the physical defense 5,900 and 6,800. I kid you not. I kid you not. Take a look at Silver Surfer and just get him to, we'll get him to level 70 tier 2. Look at that, 5,000, 5,000. His defenses are almost as high as Loki's at tier 3 compared to Silver Surfer at tier 2. Thanos is even more. Look at this. He literally has higher defenses at tier 2. And then at tier 3, it's like double. It's literally double. Thanos is twice as durable as Loki. Now, yeah, that might make sense in the comics, but it's brutal. 42,000 HP, 14,000 physical attack compared to what Loki has. And even Thor, right? You look at Thor's base stats. He's got more energy attack. He's got almost 10,000 more HP, and he's approaching 10,000 and 9,000 on the defenses. Way more defense, way more HP, and slightly more energy attack. And then he's also got accumulation and all these other, you know, buffs, right? He's got the buff. He's got the 50% buff, right? Where is it? Oh, it's not this uniform, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? He's got the accumulation. He's got the 60% buff. So he's got the 60%, the 50% buff that Loki has as a 60% buff, and it buffs his defense, which Loki doesn't have and could use. Loki doesn't have a crit rate buff either. Does this mean we're going to be getting a Loki Disney Plus uniform? Is that what this means? And this is sort of like this is just a intermittent sort of stopgap in between that. It's sort of like the reverse of what happened with Scarlet Witch, where they wanted to give her a tier 3, so they gave her a uniform, but it really didn't do much for her. But her show is still quite far away. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If we start getting WandaVision stuff, then I would probably completely pause on buying this uniform unless you're an ABX diehard. But if we don't get WandaVision stuff, then it's going to be a little bit trickier. Get it? Trickier for Loki. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of my decision to hold off on tier 3ing Loki. Is it the right decision? Is it not the right decision? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.